Hello and welcome to another episode of the 5enses podcast. Today we have owner and publisher John Duncan to give us a 5enses update of what's happening amidst our coronavirus crisis. John?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah, how are you enjoying the apocalypse?
Day by day, I'm trying to keep that balance between paranormal and just the new reality.
Yeah, definitely. And it's kind of interesting that we use that narrative because we'll definitely get through this. That's the crazy thing about it.
Mm-hmm. And I think not only are we going to get through this, but we haven't had this adversity as a population, as a civilization, in a very long time. And so my mind goes to what's the long-term side effects of this.
Oh, yeah.
And then in this time of uncertainty, we have all these resources at our fingertips. What are we going to do with all that knowledge?
Right. And that's the point where we're dealing with a whole generation, this Z generation, and the millennials who have been raised on coding and data entry.
Right. And this illness, there's a lot that it comes with because I feel like on a daily basis, people, myself, you, probably and people in our community are looking at mortality or death every day.
Yeah, mortality is definitely coming and creeping its way up into my life recently. The death of my father last year crushed my family, and and having everybody that is older in my family at that specific cusp of an age where this is going to dramatically affect them.
I think so too. And one thing that I've noticed is this change happened overnight, and it still kind of took a couple of days to like really impact me, or at least make it like real for me. Because when you hear about, let's say, the Great Depression, the crash of 1929, the Spanish flu epidemic, the plague back in the Middle Ages, World War II, when you study history, you think it's like this big event that life changes, and then the pandemic we're in the middle of, it's happening, but it's like it's normal,
right?
But then there's a shade of not normality in this.
Well, and that's what's happening with 5enses. 5enses is dramatically changing to the point where we're going to be focusing on doing much more of an online website-based paper, and for how we're going to carry the paper into a digital age.
Right. So with everything going on, I understand from our conversation earlier that the print magazine, the physical one, that's going away sometime soon, right?
Well, it's not necessarily going away entirely. We're just not seeing a reason to publish it for April. There's too much unknowns with how the virus is transmitted. As a public safety precaution, we're not going to be printing the page for April, just in case of having someone exposed because of the way our paper is distributed.
Right. No, that's true. So in a way, this is giving you an opportunity to adapt to the changing times. So now we're going towards more of an online presence. And what does that look like?
We are an advertising-based publication, so we have to be able to reach out to our advertisers and see if they're comfortable with doing an online model. So that's just basically going to each business, approaching them, seeing if that they are interested in going from print to online, and giving them the chance to be able to make the leap with us.
Right.
Some of them aren't, and that's okay. We can. I can understand that. There is definitely a precaution for wariness at this particular juncture in our culture, but culture isn't stopping. It's not going away, and that's why it's so important for us to be able to tune up on how to serve our community, how to reach out to individuals, and service them in the best way possible through our publication. We're writing up an article. I just read the great article that Abby Brill and her husband David Brill had written about how to practice social distancing,
right?
And how to be social with social distancing. It should be physical distancing. It shouldn't be social distancing. We can still be social. We are social creatures, and we can still be social in this world by still maintaining the social distance the physical distance that we need as a culture.
All right, and just on my Instagram feed and Facebook feed, there's been a lot of amazing positivity out there where people who have been, let's say, making music for a long time, they're creeping out of the shadows and just sharing their love on Facebook Live feeds or Instagram feeds. And I'm just seeing a lot of people just sharing not only their day-to-day struggles, but like some humor, but also a lot of musicians just like, here's a free concert, everybody. So I see the beautiful aspect of it, and I just want to tell our viewers that I really appreciate the predicament that we're in, because we started off doing podcasts.
Oh, perfect
and then
timing.
That perfect time, but like we had it all lined up, and then this pandemic came out, and it opened up a door for what we're doing with your advertisers. So what is 5enses doing for their advertisers in this time?
So what we're trying to do is ask them if they're comfortable with going to an online format for at least April. Get them, tipping their toe into the waters to see if that's going to be okay. And it's also asking them if they have a specific plan to move forward in the future. We have to know whether they're going to have more of an online base of a business to be able to have a platform for them to be able to sell their art, their commerce online, because we have to be able to have that as an option for them, because in our specific current circumstances, it is a very difficult thing to have a brick and mortar shop right now. That has only happened within, the last, I want to say, week. I've been running around ragged trying to organize and make sure that they're capable of providing service, let alone not the same service, but some sort of service for the future. And a lot of it is creative and innovative ways for us to be able to provide what we're doing, and working with those businesses that want to stay open, giving them a chance, giving them a fighting chance. 5enses not only is something for science and arts, but it's also for businesses to be able to advertise, for theater businesses, for nightclubs, for places that actually have entertainment, for entertainers to be able to entertain.
Right.
And just like we did, airing the Nick Cannuel, he still needs to sell records.
Yes, he does.
He still needs to be able to exist as an artist and be able to do that for all of commerce, because we don't know how long it could last. And we're also dealing with mental health issues. It's also not good for mental health. Mental health is going to be a huge problem for us to face. We were in a state of denial, not even realizing what was happening and how this would affect us. Then finally, coming to the realization of, oh my God, this is happening. And then kind of coming to the realization of acceptance. Okay, this is the way that life is going to go. You have to have a foundational base. You have to have consistency in your life. You have to have structure. It really affects every business out there. It really affects everybody that is there.
And this is where the online advertising and what I'm excited for the media component of 5enses transitioning to online happens, is that now what we did is, the Raven is one of our sponsors, Two Mamas, one of our sponsors. So we went in and we interviewed them about, how they're adapting, what have they noticed, how are they keeping their staff on, or what's the ramifications of that? And then the best question I think we asked them was, how are you going to become stronger as a business coming through this? And that gave me a lot of hope, and that's where that sense of community comes into play. And so we made these promo segments for them, and that gives them a platform to tell them that we're still here. We still want to serve you, and here's ways of how to do online pickup, especially if you don't want to have that human-to-human contact. And I thought about my grandparents being teenagers during the Great Depression, and how without this social connection through social media and whatnot, how did they have to deal with this? How did they have to live with this? And I don't think it has hit reality yet, but this now in this digital age gives them that platform.
And more than anything, we're really trying our best to be able to have something for people to be able to cling to as a community.
Yeah.
But we can do that online. It is transformative for us to be able to do that, and having the support of the community. I mean, I get emotional thinking about all the people that have reached out to me and said,
Right.
we want to support you through this. We want to be there for you. Those are huge benchmarks of being able to say, this is why this is important.
I agree, and I think once people see our segments, they're really gonna enjoy that. Like I felt like an investigative reporter yesterday when we went out, and that kind of like gave me like a nice sensation of like we're in the danger zone in a way. And
Yeah.
if you look at it, like for me, the moment of being in the Raven or Two Mamas and there's nobody there besides us and the owner,
And that little old lady.
the little lady that we
Oh.
interviewed, yeah, like I felt that it was my duty to go out, even if I'm a germaphobe, and showcase and give them a platform to help their business.
Yeah.
And with your business too, like here's a question for you that we asked everybody yesterday, John. How is Five Senses going to be stronger going through this adversity?
I think we're showing it by doing this right now. I think we're showing it by being relevant, trying to be more adaptable to the times, and being able to be out there for everyone, the
Right.
whole town. And it's a huge learning curve to be able to transfer, but it's also something that we already saw coming. So it's staying relevant and giving us a chance to be able to come up with new innovative ways to be able to reach out to our public. I can't help but be proud of everybody that is part of our team at Five Senses, to be able to really pull it together and come together, and work together.
So John, you are Five Senses magazine, and you're the publisher, the owner. You're going out and making these connections with our local community members. You are great with people's mental health because you're always asking how they're doing. So I wanted to give this opportunity and ask, how are you like dealing with the day-to-day realities that we have now with restrictions from the CDC?
It's hard. It's really hard. It's everything in my life, and I talked about this with. I don't know if many people know that I have a cabaret troupe that I've been, researching and developing for the last year now, and it's really hard because everything in my life, everything in my being, is to constantly have people stand up and be counted. People getting out of their self-isolation and giving them a chance to be able to be out in public and be a part of this culture and be a part of something greater than themselves. And that's the hardest thing. They say that this is the worst thing that could ever happen to huggers, for people that are used to hugging people and shaking people's hands but it really does hurt the arts as a whole. It gives us a chance to be able to be more innovative, but there's just a lot of things that this hurts to be a part of. But it gives us innovative ways to be able to reach out to our public. It gives us innovative ways for us to be able to reach out to a larger audience, because it gives us a platform that we're exposed to the whole world now, on what we're trying to do for our own community, no matter if it's small or big, and gives a chance to be able to have Prescott and Jerome and surrounding areas, Chino Valley and Prescott Valley, to be able to be seen on a greater platform for the whole world to see. I think that's great.
No, I agree. Like, and throughout history, with times of tragedy or war or famine or other pandemics, the beautiful thing about us humans is that we find innovative ways to continue. We adapt. Like, I think that's the best trait that we have as humans, is we can adapt.
Yeah.
And going back to the questions we asked the owners yesterday, like the way that they're adapting is so impressive to me.
Oh God, it's amazing. I mean, with every specific person that ended up telling us, what they're doing, everybody said we were already planning on these things on the back burner, but we never had time.
Mm-hmm.
And now they have time. Now they actually have the time to be able to implement these things, to incorporate them into their business. And that is astoundingly amazing for them to have that opportunity. In noticing that things like this are opportunities. We as a publication are always coming up with innovative ways to be able to reach out to the public. And one of them is to do a podcast. Well, this definitely gives us a chance to be able to work together and be able to push forward with that.
Yeah, and I just want to say thank you for the opportunity for being the host of the podcast, because I'm not only learning about things about myself, but the conversations that I've had with people around town have been just so inspirational and uplifting. Every person I've talked to, I've gained some sort of knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think that's the beauty of this position right here, for that.
That's my life. Everybody, I have to reach out to every single person that's involved with the paper. It is a full-time job, and it is a connection that we have. I was talking, we're writing an article coming out for the website that is basically, still in business type of article, showing the businesses that are becoming innovative ways for them to be able to support our community and everything, and be able to stand up and being counted at this time, in different ways other than mass gatherings. And having those interviews with those people that are choosing to do those specific things are amazing. It's really great.
I agree, and I can't wait for months down the road when we really show the Prescott community what we can offer. Like, there's a few things in the pipeline that we're going to be doing, not only podcasts, but segments with different local businesses. And when you watch the promos that we do, that's just a little glimpse of what we're about to do.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is that just because we aren't printed, we are going to be able to be accessible completely online. We are going to have our articles for April that we already have that are ready to go out are going to be completely online and be able to be accessible for everyone to read on their mobile and on the website itself. Yeah. And I've been working with the team reorganizing it and making it much more web friendly for us to be able to do that. One thing that it's really exposed to me is that this is a intergenerational check of getting everybody on the same page. We are not experiencing we are experiencing a leveling of all of the generations to figure out how to communicate all at the same time. And it's a replug of an educational curve for the older generation and the younger generation to be able to figure out how to communicate with each other.
It's also interesting because I think the older generation has to learn like social media and email. Like, we interviewed Susan, I think, or Suzanne was her name.
Suzanne,
and she didn't have an email.
Oh, Suzanne, right? What was her last name? LaRue. Amazing woman.
Amazing woman, but like, she had no email. I'm like, when I asked her, how are you contacting with friends? Like, oh, if they don't answer, they don't answer. Whereas the younger generation, their issue is probably, what do I do with isolation and the boredom? But do they understand what happens when things shut down, when you can't go get a job, when you have to entertain yourself?
It's just a leveling where everybody has to learn again how to have to have their own foundation. It's an interesting time.
It is, because it's like going back to the basics.
Yeah.
Like I was telling you, like the balancing act of being paranoid and reality.
Right.
For me, with my life, I've experienced cancer at an early age, and I joke around. I was joking with the production crew about, like, I'm built for this isolation.
Yeah.
Just because imagine having cancer and being in the room, in a bedroom, watching TV, or getting like chemo treatment for 5 straight days. You can't leave the room.
Right.
So like for me, it's okay. Like my imagination is back. Like I'm making a puppet series that hopefully will turn into a PSA about a virus, and that's how I deal with things, John. Like you said, like how you're dealing with it. My thing is I take reality and whatever I process it through, whatever way, whatever genre I want to make it, I have to do it.
Well, it's a social responsibility.
More than ever, John, being the host of the podcast, and like I said, going to see those people, I feel like as a community member, that's my contribution.
Yeah.
If I can bring people together or talk to people, get them out there, promote their movies, promote their plays that they're in, promote their CDs like Nick, or just have a great conversation with Alan Dean Foster.
Well, and that's why I'm excited about this, whether you want to call it a season of what we're going to be doing for the podcast or anything like that, because this content that we're generating now, that we're presenting for the public, is amazing. It's really, really amazing. I'm so glad to be a part of it. It's unbelievable.
Me too. And I think going back to our earlier point is it's a perspective piece. Like, we're a part of a community, and again, what the local business owners are saying is as a together we can be a stronger community, and that's why I'm really digging that we're inviting different perspectives on to share their perspective, because in a community we all can disagree, but at some point we need to come together and put our personal differences aside
and give you a chance for the viewers to make their own decisions.
And again, when people share their own opinions, you can agree with them, you can disagree with them, but I think we all can grow from different perspectives.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just want to say thank you, John, for not only your contribution to this community, because you've been working your ass off ever since the news broke like 2 weeks ago. I remember when you roped me into that meeting about the tourism.
Oh, yeah.
And that was kind of like the tipping point. So again, unprecedented times, but John Duncan, owner and publisher of 5enses, thank you for coming on as the 5enses update, see where we're at. And stay tuned and stay up to date with 5enses at 5ensesmag.com. We have some Corona-related pieces right now. We're going to be uploading a lot of these podcasts. You can follow us and like us on Facebook, please. And we're going to be on Instagram and Twitter. And if you miss a physical copy, again, just go to 5ensesmag.com and you'll get April's edition and other fun stuff that we are cooking up in the lab.
And we're also working with local public access, Channel 46, to be able to air some of our episodes on there for people that are not net savvy.
Right. You heard it. We may be on cable TV next.
I know.
Right? That's entertaining.
That's entertaining.
Thank you for tuning in to the 5enses podcast with owner and publisher John Duncan. Prescott, we care about you. We want to be a part, and also every community member is important to Prescott and the Quad City. So during these times of crisis and adversity, say hello to your neighbor, say I love you to someone that you haven't seen in a while, and just check in with your neighbors, whether it's via social media, phone conversation, Zoom, email, whatever, because together as a community, we can grow stronger. So thank you again for tuning into the 5enses podcast, and we hope to see you soon.